Dearest gentle viewer, it is time to go back to the city and find this season's diamond. I am, of course, talking about Bridgerton season 4. I think it's out now. At least part 1 is out. Part 1 is out in real time, in my time. I'm hoping, and you can tell me in the comments if I managed it, to get this video out in time for part 2. Backstory. Where did this come from? Why am I doing this idea? Why am I pushing myself whilst the house is still in utter chaos to make a dress? Well, sewing is my therapy. Arguably it's cheaper than therapy, I will say. It's been a year already and we're not even out of January yet. It helps calm my brain. It helps me feel happy again. So we're going to do a little bit of a sewing project, only that I'm not sure how much I can actually get done today. Last season of the show was a couple years ago. Liberty and Bridgerton did a collaboration, or I should say Shondaland, and they made the most beautiful materials. Now I was either mid-transatlantic move or they just couldn't afford it or whatever. I didn't get anything from that collection until I was scrolling on Sewbox, which is a fantastic website that sells Liberty print fabrics, but also Liberty print on fabrics that you don't get from Liberty itself, which is kind of funny. So they have licenses to print it on other fabric, I believe. Like, I don't really know what the setup is, but basically from Liberty London, from the department store, you can get cotton, like a couple different types. So like cotton lawn and like quilting cotton. You can get silk as well. So you're talking silk twill, silk chiffon, silk satin, silk crepe de chine. So you can get the silks and you can get the cotton, like basic cotton lawn. It's beautiful quality cotton, but those are your two options. But Sewbox has fleece, lantana, which is I forget the ratios, it's 80% and 20%, but it's wool and cotton. So it's warmer than cotton, but not quite as warm as wool. I would like to use some lantana one day. Never used it. I'd like to get a feel of it. They have corduroy. They have quite a few. So I was just looking at like jersey. Do they have jersey? There is a website, but I'm not sure it's that one that has jersey. So stretch Liberty fabric. So I was looking on Sewbox. I don't really know what inspired me to look on Sewbox, but they were having a 20% off the whole site, even if it's already discounted, sale. And they had the Bridgerton, or one of the Bridgerton silk satin prints, already reduced from £75 per metre to £35 a metre, which is still a bargain, but with an extra 20% off, so £28 a metre, which is cheaper than you can get the cotton from Liberty. So I had to get some. And you know what? It's turned out to be an excellent purchase because they've just done another collaboration. They're just Liberty and Bridgerton. They've now released a load of new fabrics. How it differs, I'm not sure because I wasn't in a position to buy from the previous collection. I didn't look too much into it. I did notice that I liked some, but I didn't really remember colours and names or anything like that. But there are definitely crossovers because they have re-released the one I got for £28 a metre at the £75 a metre. So I've saved like over £100. So this year, with my sewing, I really wanted to do a bit more exploration. I can sew a cotton dress. I know I can sew a cotton dress. You know I can sew a cotton dress. Cotton is predictable. Cotton is great. It's a fantastic fabric. But I do want to expand my repertoire. I have kind of started leaning more to natural fibres, but that's actually more to do with the fact that I did try and buy fabric cheaply, like dead stock places, and it's usually a poly cotton blend and that kind of thing. And well, sometimes it's fully cotton, but they can't guarantee what it is. But the issue wasn't the fabric itself. The issue for me was I just didn't reach for it the same way I do my Liberty prints and some other things that I've made. And I think I've decided that, or discovered that the best fabrics for me to use are the ones I'm going to reach for and wear. Like, just because it's cheap doesn't mean I'm going to want to wear it. So making a garment that fits me perfectly but I don't want to wear is actually not very green. I am trying to be more conscious about the fabrics I buy and actually buying fabrics that I want to use in my projects for myself and I will reach for. You probably will see a lot of more Liberty. I'll try and not go on and on about it, but Liberty, I love Liberty fabric. So I will be wearing Liberty fabric. All that to say is I did want to experiment with more fabrics, more fabric types. And I don't think I'd even held silk as a fabric. I think I've, obviously seen silk garments, but silk as a fabric, I don't think I've ever had it in my hand. And I definitely haven't compared it side by side with a polyester copy. And all the drape of silk versus a polyester, even when they're both satin, is so different. It feels so different. Now, you'll be like, why haven't you shown me the fabric? I will insert a picture of the fabric at some point. Reason being is I ordered this when I was at my parents' house. I was at my parents' house for 2 weeks over Christmas, and I didn't know how quickly it would ship because it said a certain number of days, and I think it actually arrived at my parents' house the day we arrived back in Cardiff. So I wasn't sure, and I didn't want them to leave it on the doorstep, because that's what happened with my last Liberty fabric, and we just left for the weekend. Fortunately, we have a really lovely neighbour who spotted it and took it in, so it didn't get damaged, because it was also raining insanely. I didn't want it to sit outside in the rain, get stolen or whatever, so I ordered it to my parents' house. I have not yet been back to my parents' house, because it's a 5-hour drive, which is not terrible. It's just, it's a long way to go just to pick up fabric. I'm not going back for a couple weeks, but I did buy some lining fabric, so I can at least start on this project, because I'm going to make this pattern, which I also got in the sale. What do you call this? Like, what do you call this silhouette? I haven't found no one who can tell me what this silhouette is called. I've seen this, I've been really intrigued by it for a very long time. I've not tried on this silhouette, so this is a little bit risky. However, there's a couple of people I have seen experiment with this silhouette. One is on TikTok. I will find out the creator. She is a costume and wig designer for stage shows in America. I found her through her Halloween costume. She made a geode one back in 2024 and an anglerfish in 2025. Like, she is so cool. But she bought a dress with this silhouette. Yeah, she loved it so much that she took the dress apart and used that as a pattern to make a Christmas version of the dress. And she's tall. I'm judging by what she said, she's got kind of similar body type to me. That's a whole thing. Go follow her. She's amazing. The other person is Charlie over at the Stitchery. She played around with this idea. And again, judging by videos, her measurements, again, we've got similar body shape, proportion kind of thing, and they both really like the dress on their body types, so I feel like it's a little bit of a safer bet. Even so, this is a pattern I've never used, and it's a PDF pattern. They're not bad, but when you print them out and stick them together, there can be a little bit of distortion. To get a true mock-up or toile, you need a similar fabric, a similar weight, and a similar flow. I don't have that, actually. I just said that, and my eyes have fallen on I've got a sack of linen, as in, not linen the fabric, but as in bed sheets and stuff that my mum was getting rid of. And I use these, I don't tend to make clothes with them, I will admit. I will often use them as a lining, but I use them to make my own patterns to drape and that kind of thing. And I think there's a satin, so I might make a mock-up. But my actual idea, this pattern has facings. I don't like facings. They say it's for ease of construction, and I do understand that, but I do not like facings. I'd rather fully line it. Not fully line it. I don't want to line the hip things because that's a lot of fabric, but I can line the bodice and the centre bit. The other thing, French seams don't work particularly well over curves, so I don't want to use French seams here. I'm not very good with my overlocker. In fact, I'm quite rubbish with my overlocker. I don't want to put this fabric under my overlocker, so lining is the best option. So my idea was to make a usable mock-up or toile with the lining fabric. It's a black silk lining fabric from Minerva. It was dead stock, and I think I paid $11.99 a metre, and I got 2 metres. So I think I'm going to go binge part 1 of Bridgerton, get in the mood, and cut and stick the PDF pattern. The amount of wasted paper with these sorts of patterns. Well, if I like it, I'll keep it. Brief update to say that the silk that I thought, or satin I should say, that I thought was in here is just a couple sets of pillowcases. So the couple pink ones there. Oh, that's more. Still just pillowcases. And then those ones. So not enough fabric to actually do a full mock-up or toile. So I'm going to stick with plan A and do the usable lining toile. Welcome to my temporary sewing space. I need to cut out the lining fabric next, I think. I've vacuumed the floor now. I don't need all of it. I don't need the pockets or the straps or the big skirt. But I do need the rest of it. Got one piece on the fold and then everything else is mirrored. Okay, so that's in half and they're all the pieces I need. So instead of cutting them out, I'm gonna shift it and just fold the bit over that I need, and that way I've got more silk lining fabric for the future. Probably could have only got half of what I actually did, but that does give rooms for mistakes. Hopefully you won't need them though. It'd be nice to have this for something else. I have sewed it essentially into a tube. It looks a bit weird because we haven't got the side hip things on. I now need to try this on and fit it. It is see-through, even though it's black, it is see-through. Not to mention I'm missing like most of the skirt. And because it's quite a low back, the dress, or at least that's what it appears like, and spaghetti straps. So I'm not planning on wearing a bra with this. So to fit it, I really should fit it naked, or at least braless. So I'm not going to show you for, you know, obvious reasons. I will say, because it's the lining, this is the way it's going to go on my body with the seams out. So it's super easy to pinch and amend the fit if need be. The only thing is, that's where the zip's going. I can't really put the zip in. So I'm gonna have to kind of pinch that and see. It'd be really helpful if I had a person who wasn't busy to pin me in. Equally though, I don't really trust Harry to pin me into things because, yeah. Today is St. David's Day, but it does mean that I have missed the date that I said I would get this video out in the beginning of this video. I had hoped to get this video out for the drop of part 2 of the latest season of Bridgerton, which has happened. I've not seen any of it yet. The reason being is we've been doing the room. I got distracted in actually making my sewing space, and because of that I didn't have anywhere to sew, and now I've got a little bit scared of cutting up Liberty silk. I know when I start watching Bridgerton I will be like, yeah, I want to make my dress again. The other reason why I missed that deadline of dropping or finishing this dress by the time Bridgerton part 2 drops was because since I filmed the first bit of this video, my mum, who is also a Bridgerton fan and Liberty fan, we both noticed that Liberties are doing a Bridgerton fabric collaboration showcase. I don't know what to call it, but they're going to have a display of their Liberty fabrics and their Bridgerton Liberty collaboration fabrics, and I don't know what else, but yeah, we both said we wanted to go. It finishes on the 26th of March. We ended up comparing diaries, when can we do this? And it's like, let's do it for Mother's Day. So we're going on the Saturday, but yeah, we're going to meet my mum in London on Saturday the 14th, the day before Mother's Day here in the UK. I know in the rest of the world that Mother's Day is a very different date, but here in the UK, Mother's Day or Mothering Sunday is around Easter. It's in March usually. So we're going to go there for the UK Mother's Day or the day before and see the collection. So I thought, well, if I'm going to go see the collection, let's film some of it and chuck it in this video. Why not? Why not share it with you for those who couldn't make it? This is my fabric. It's in fact, actually, you can see it better on camera than you can in person. It's like a dark, I'd call this bottle green. I might be wrong on that, but I'd call this bottle green. It's like a bluey, it's got a bluey tone to it. So much so that on screen, like when I ordered it, I thought it was navy. I'm not mad. I love dark green. The only thing is, I went to buy a zip and Hobbycraft were having half price sale on their zips. So I was like, great, good timing. There weren't many really long invisible zips. In fact, that's technically, the set what I got is technically an inch or so too short, but I think it'll be fine. They had black, but I didn't really want to use black. I thought black would stand out, and I actually ended up going with navy because, like I said, it read navy to me on screen, and there is blue in it, so I felt like that would go. They didn't even have like pink or anything. I think the navy will go quite nicely. I don't think you'll notice it. That's more the issue. It's not like it will go, I just don't want you to notice that it's there. I'm debating whether I use my fancy brand new cutting mat and rotary cutter, which is still in its packaging, but I've never used those tools before. I mean, I've used a cutting mat, but not like with a rotary cutter. Or, because it's the first time I'm using silk, do I just go with what I know and use my good sharp scissors? Yes, the fabric will shift and stuff, but this is what I'm used to. So I think this is actually the safer bet than use this as the practice run with the rotary cutter. I can use the rotary cutter on the scrap projects and things that don't matter as much. Get used to the feel of it. I think that's the way I'm leaning. So I don't know if you noticed in the last clip that I was stood there for quite a while, or sat there on the floor for quite a while, debating whether or not I cut the pockets out. Now, usually I am definitely in team pocket. I want my clothes to have pockets. However, this is a very slippy, slidey, thin silk, and putting anything in pockets there, because they're the bag type ones, there's no like waist seam that they're in or anything like that. So putting anything in those pockets, it's gonna drag the dress down. So I probably just won't put anything in the pockets. So I'm gonna leave them out on this one. I do have two bags that go really well with this. I'm spoiled for choice on the bag to go with it. But yeah, I think I'm gonna skip the pockets on this one. I will, if I like this dress on me, I probably will make it again in like a sturdier material and definitely add the pockets. All I'm doing at the moment, I'm going around and hand sewing all my seams before I put it through the machine. Fiddled with some tensions. So I'm on stitch length 2 and a tension 3. So slightly lower tension than usual. Right, it's not perfect, but look at that. I am happy with that pattern match on a French seam. Obviously it needs pressing out, but yeah, I'm pretty chuffed with that. I have been ironing this. I've ironed it the other side, and this was the last seam, and my iron just decided to do that. Thank God this is the lining and it's black, but it doesn't look, it looks fine. It looks innocent. Damn you, iron. It's a brand new ironing board as well. Not happy about that one. The importance of ironing. So this is before ironing. I've lost it. There you go. There's after ironing. Nice flat. And this is only the first side. I'm going to iron both sides, but I'm doing the back side first just to make sure the seam allowance is nice and split. I'm getting used to angles in this room, so please forgive me. So I've just sewn the straps into tube. I was told to cut these on the straight, not on the bias. So now I'm going to iron them. How it says to do it is split the seam, iron them flat, then turn them, and then repress. So we're going to do that. You see, like, before and after, like, it makes so much difference. My mum used to say a good seamstress sews with her iron, which obviously it means pressing your seams as you go along, and it does make it a lot easier and a neater finish. Obviously not everything can be ironed though. So leather, nope. Nylon, nope. Velvet you can. I have shown it already how to do that in the scrap pumpkin video, how to iron velvet. Just there's a knack. I have a loop turner. These would be easier to turn through if they were cut on the bias, but then also that the dress is fully hanging from these tiny little spaghetti straps, so maybe that's why. Trick is not to get it too bunched up. Like, there we are. So now I've got to iron it again. I just want to know if I'm ironing the seam to the side or to the bottom. It doesn't say. In which case we'll do it the easiest way, which is with the seam to the side. This is literally step 2 in the instructions. I just did everything in a completely different order. They also do the zipper installation in the flat method. which I would say, yes, follow that. That is easier than what I'm about to do. There's a little knack to get it used to threading through those stitches. Yeah, recommend a little loop to it. No! No! Oh no! I spoke too soon. I'll push it this way. Thank God this is like a slippy fabric because it's silk. I obviously need more practice at using. We'll get there. Before ironing, after. So I don't have a walking foot. That's part of the reason why I hand sew all my seams. I'm not interested in getting a walking foot. I think you get a really high-end couture look with just basting your stitches first, and particularly something like this, it gives you a chance to fit it without committing, which if you're like me and you refuse to do toiles or mock-ups or whatever you want to call them, then it's a useful tool. Also, I usually use the lining as a usable toile, and I found the fit was okay with that. I think I might need to adjust it because obviously I don't have the zip in. It's really hard to fit on yourself. The dress is essentially fully assembled, just no back zip. I'm going to attach the straps just to this first, try it on, see if I need to adjust any seams, put the zip in. Yeah, zip first, and then I can attach the lining. Okay, let's do a fit check. So I have the zip in. You can see it's quite low back. It is like, I wouldn't call it gaping, but the fabric is quite flowy and coming away from the body. Now I think it's just because of how slippy, slidey silk is, and I didn't stay out the pin. I pinned up the straps. They're 2 inches too long. Well, actually, they're actually 4 inches too long because I took 2 inches out. I've got quite a short bodice, or maybe this is going to hit lower, but I like this bit hitting my natural waist because this is actually my hip here. So I think this is quite a good fit actually. It's okay, so it's not tight to me, but I haven't got the lining layer on it at all. So once that's in, you know, there's going to be another layer. I know it's still silk, but it's slightly thicker. It's not tight, but you don't want silk to be tight to the body because it will pull on the seams. I think once the lining's attached and you've actually got your stitching and the understitching on these parts, and also you're going to have obviously that, it's not bulk, but that other layer underneath, this is going to look a lot more structured around the top. But yeah, you can see where I've had to take the straps in to sit in the right place. Okay, so I've attached the lining. I haven't understitched it yet, so it's still a bit bouncy. I think I do need to come in on the sides. Not that it's, yeah, it's just bubbling a little bit, but I think the fit otherwise is actually quite nice. It's just I've got like a little bit of a bubble under my armpit, literally a touch. So how I'm going to do that, I'm not going to completely unstitch what I've just done. I'm going to pull it straight out. So you've got, I don't know if we can do this. A minute, let me change angles because you don't need to look at me anymore, but here it is so far. I figured the easiest thing would be to change and explain it with the actual garment. How I'm going to do this, last time I actually saw it, is I'm going to pull the lining out, so I've got the main dress one side, the lining the other, and then on those side seams, so I should probably do it inside out, I'm just going to take in a little bit. It really wasn't much, was it? In fact, that's almost like a curved line, and I think I just want that one straight. I think for my body type, the idea is I'm just going to create my new line across that. I don't technically need to unpick that, but because of the way I've splayed the seam allowance, it might be neater and lay better if I do unpick it, resew it, unpick the old line, iron it out flat, trim off a bit of that excess. I won't trim it off yet. What I'll do is I'll try it on, make sure I've actually done it correctly, and then trim off. Hopefully that made sense. But yeah, other than that, adding that top on gave a lot more structure to the rest of it, and it doesn't feel like it's gaping or anything like that. So it was just a little bit of bubbling on the side, and that's it. So yeah, the fit was pretty good. Okay, I've taken it in, it's definitely better. There's still a bit of a curve that I don't think is actually there on my body, but I don't know if that's because there's the seam allowance underneath. So I'm gonna trim it because it's definitely not too tight. Trim it and try it on again, and it's just gonna be repeating that. Taking it in a little bit, trim it, try it on, trim it, take it in if I need to, try it, trim it kind of thing. We're nearly there. So after I've got this fitting good, I'm going to understitch the neckline. I can do that on the machine because the two pieces are quite free. And then a lot of hand stitching. So you'll remember that it's only lined down the centre. These bits aren't lined. So I need to stitch the lining down all the way around this bit and down the zip, and then hem it all by hand because I think that's the best thing for silk. Also, do you like the frogs on my tights? Should I move the whole thing nearer? I need a proper camera. I keep recording everything on my phone.